Good morning, bead friends. How are you all doing today? It's Kelsey here from Shipwreck Beads, and today we're going to be making some Halloween jewelry using some of the eyeball chain that I showed on a previous video, as well as some tiara cast components, which I'm really excited about sharing. So I'm really excited for today's project. It kind of goes along with the blog that I am currently writing. We will yeah, I'm just excited about it. Oh, misplace things as I want to do. So we're going to be making some easy jewelry today. It'll be an over-the-head necklace and using eye pins, beads, and some charms and other components. Again, it's all tiara cast. First off, I want to thank you all for your very kind and sweet comments on the video on Friday. Again, that was just because I had gotten a mean comment and wanted to remind everyone that this is a safe, creative, fun space, and we don't need that kind of negativity in our lives. So thank you all to all of you who left nice comments. That was really nice to see. I felt very appreciated. So thank you. I really love the people who watch these videos and comment, and I'm happy that I get to share with you. So I've been kind of busy in my office this week. I'm trying to get my pile under control. As you can see in the background there, the pile is much smaller than it was last week, so I'm making progress, but it's slow going. I'm sure all of you crafty people can relate that it's easy to get the ball rolling and get into projects, and then all of a sudden you have a mess, and it's not as fun to always clean them up. But I try and be organized here, and sometimes that's kind of hard to do. I tend to get dumped with a lot of stuff, whether it's new product or just leftover things. So I'm trying to get that pile under control so it's not so ugly to look at behind my head. That's why I try to position myself so you can't see the piles. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started here in just a moment. I gotta pull out my box full of findings and get my eye pins, and yeah, I've got everything else out, but I need my eye pins. That's the primary component that we'll be using today. There they are. All right, so we're going to be making sort of I don't know if it's called a bib necklace, chevron fringe, whatever you call it, but here's just an example of what we'll be making today. It will be a Halloween color scheme. This is just one that I've made previously, and so it'll be something very similar to this. But as you can see, you've just got an eye pin across the top and eye pin dangles across the down the sides with your pattern. So it's a very simple design. You can easily adjust it. You could use wire instead. So if you wanted a longer piece, that's another option. Eye pins don't just have to be for making links. You can really use them in a lot of different ways, and this is just one of the ways you can do that. So that's what we'll be making today. And so I've got a sort of Halloween color scheme that we'll be working with. So we've got, I love purple as a Halloween color. It's not traditionally necessarily a Halloween color, but I really enjoy it. So that's what we'll be doing, the color scheme. And I'm really excited to finally use this eyeball chain. It's been sitting on my desk for a few weeks, and I've been waiting for the perfect opportunity to use it, and I think that today is that day. So hi Valerie, thanks for joining us. So is anybody else making any Halloween jewelry? Oh, my connection's weak. That's not good. I love Halloween jewelry. Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. And so this is one of the necklaces that I'll be putting on the blog this week. It's just a simple beaded necklace. So this is kind of a necklace trio, and I needed a third necklace to go with it. I thought that's what we'd make on the video. So here's the other necklace in the set. And you'll have to tune into the blog to see what products are used here. So we'll be using similar color scheme and products to kind of combine them all together. So let's go ahead and angle you down so you can see what I'm doing. So first off, we're gonna make So again, this is the sort of sample one that we're making. And so we, first off, are going to make the bar across the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so I've got these cube beads from Tiara Cast that we'll be using across the top here. I do wish this eyeball chain was a little less bright, but hopefully when it's all finished it'll sort of come together and look okay. So we're going to start by stringing our eye pins on, and you can actually do the beading first, which might be an easier way to do it. So we'll go a little backwards this day, or today. So there's 7 dangles hanging down, so I'm going to have 7 eye pins hanging from the top one. I don't know if you saw, but I was interviewed by Bead Fest. Because I will be teaching in the Shipwreck Beads Inspiration Playground. We've got 6 great make and takes lined up for $5 each, so it's a great deal. So if you are local, I highly recommend you come to Bead Fest on October, see, that's 14th, 15th, and 16th, and check that out. There's also some great workshops available, but they interviewed me for their blog, and so that's on their site. It was also shared on the Shipwreck Beads page, so you can scroll down and take a look at that as well. 5. But that was a lot of fun. You get to learn a little bit more about me. Three, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So once you get those all on there, you're going to just make a simple loop at the end. So you do that by making a bend here. I just use my fingernails because I've got freakishly strong fingernails, but if you don't, I don't recommend doing that because you can sort of nick your fingernails while you do that. So you're going to bend that to the side. I usually do about 1/4 of an inch for my loop. One great trick that I learned is that you can take an 8mm bead. This is a 6x8, so you can take an 8mm bead and put that up. 10mm also works, but if you do this on every simple loop that you make, you can get a really uniform loop size. Just use the same measuring bead. This is one trick that I teach in the Beading 101 class, and when I teach children, this is one of the tips that I use for making simple loops, because one of the hardest things is trying to get consistent loop sizes, and that's one way to do that, is to get a bead that will help you measure your distance, and then you can have a consistent loop size every time if you just use the same size bead. So you trim it, and then you're just going to make a loop with your round nose pliers. And you want to make sure that your loops are facing the same direction, because that will keep it hanging straight when you add your jump rings to add to the chain. Okay, so I probably should have done the beading on these first, but that's all right. Sometimes we go backwards. All right, so I'm going to do sort of a similar pattern, but I'm going to use my base color is going to be black beads. So I've got a matted black 4mm fire polished to sort of complement the matted black used in this necklace here. It's just sort of randomly strung with some cathedral beads, some antique brass spacers, skull beads. I love skull beads. I use them year round, not just Halloween. I love the Tiara Cast skull bead because it's got some little floral embellishments on it, and it's really pretty. But we're not using those today. So we're going to do string on our beads onto our eye pins. So these beads are a little smaller than what I used here, so I'm going to use a few more of them. I'm going to use 2 of each color, I think. Although we'll see what the pattern ends up looking like. So is anybody else here getting in the Halloween spirit? Let's move these out of the way. I haven't started decorating yet, but I'm really close. I think this weekend, that's my plan, is to start working on some Halloween projects and decorating my house. We just bought a house, and I've always wanted to be able to decorate my mantle with Halloween stuff. And I finally have a house with a mantle, so I'm so excited to get started on some of those Halloween projects. I've got, I want to make a Halloween bunting and probably do a lot of spider webs, lots of skulls. And then we'll be making Halloween costumes here too. I'm of the firm belief that Halloween costumes should be made, not purchased. So it's always been a little bit of a point of contention with my daughter, who doesn't always agree. But I think it's important to not have the same costume as everyone else. How boring is that? All right, so how are we going to do this? So let's do turquoise. So I've got some 4mm just turquoise rounds. I have sort of a combination of finishes and colors. I think it can be kind of boring if you use all the same beads. So to give it a little more interest, I've got some metallic 4mm fire polish, the matte black, a round turquoise, and then these are actually a 6mm seed bead in a bright purple, and it's the silks. So I think that adds, I like the purple, it adds just sort of a pop of color, and I really enjoy that. So let's go purple, gold, and orange. So I think I like that. I don't know if I do like that actually. What do you think of that pattern? I think the gold should be on the bottom. Maybe 2 purple ones. So the seed beads are a little smaller, so I'm adding 2 of those. Yeah, I don't know that I like that either. Sometimes you just have to play with the pattern until you get something that you like. What do you think about that? I think I like that. So we'll stick with that. So now at the end there, I'm going to just make a simple loop. And I'm just going to eyeball mine. The more loops you make, the better you'll be at being able to just eyeball the length. And I've made thousands of loops in my day, so I feel like I'm pretty good at eyeballing the length needed there. All right, so now we're going to add three black ones. So for each one, as you get into the center, like on this one, you're going to add more of the top color. If you want to do some variation on that, you can add more of the center colors as well. And again, just play around with it until you find something that's visually appealing to you. But to get that nice chevron shape, you just add color, the top color, to create that extra length. And you can always get eye pins in different lengths as well to, if you wanted to make something longer, or you can just use just regular craft wire as well. You don't necessarily have to use eye pins, but since most of you probably have eye pins in your stash already, I figured it would be fun to show you just another way to utilize them. You can also use them to make some really creative earrings that I made on our blog a while back. They're called the 3-2-1 earrings, and you just use 3 eye pins, or sorry, 3 crystals, 2 eye pins, and 1 ear wire to make a really cool pair of earrings. And you can search that on the blog. It's the 3-2-1 earrings. And they're actually one of my favorite earrings. I've made several pairs to wear myself. I love the rough quartz crystals. or one of my favorites. As you would know if you read my Bead Fest interview, I talk a lot about the different products that I use and Shipwreck Beads and the history here at the store. So if you've ever wanted to know a little bit more about me and Shipwreck, then you can check that out. All right, so you can see the pattern starting to come along. I think that one needs to be a little bit longer. All right. So again, you just fold it over to the side, trim the end. Well, there's a lot of different ways to make simple loops. As you've seen in previous videos, I've used the looper tool. And the thing with the simple loops, as long as you're happy with the loop at the end, as long as you're happy with what you've made, then you've done it right. I mean, there's really no wrong or right way to do it. This is the way that I do it, and I know with the Beading 101 class that we have several instructors who teach that, and we each kind of do it a little slightly different way, but we all end up with loops at the end. So really that means we've done it right. Give me a sec here. I'm not seeing any comments, so I don't know if there's people commenting here. All right. Sorry for that delay. I was just looking on the our Facebook page because I'm not seeing any of your comments come up, but I see on the Facebook page some of you have commented. So sorry if I'm not responding to your comments. That's why. So they're not coming up on my little iPad here that I film on. So yeah, the way the Facebook Live works is you can't film off of a camera. You have to film off of like a device. So I film on an iPad, and sometimes it doesn't always cooperate, like today where I'm not seeing your comments, which is unfortunate because that's my favorite part of doing these videos, is seeing the comments that you all make and interacting with everyone. That's really what makes it all fun and worth it for me, is to interact with you. But I did see your comment, Valerie, about how you live in the country and so you don't decorate for Halloween. And I'm not sure that we'll end up getting too many trick-or-treaters at our new place, but I just really love Halloween, and so I decorate for me, not for anyone else, really. One of my coworkers today, she brought in this adorable vase that she made. She got a vase at the dollar store, spray painted it, and glued googly eyes all over it, and it is so cute. She put these black and purple flowers in it and glued eyeballs in there, and it just, I might have to copy her idea. It's very Pinterestable. So you can see the first half of our pattern is done, and we'll go ahead and finish up the last, or the other side here. Got to remember to keep my hands where you can see them. I always want to do it up closer to my eyes so I can see, but then I remember you guys can't, so something I'm still working on. It's good to be a work in progress, though. I don't think anyone's ever finished learning or growing. So I've got a funny story. I was recognized for the first time for doing these videos over the weekend, which was really unexpected. I was at a friend's house, a friend who sells LuLaRoe. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's like leggings and dresses and stuff. And so she was having a pop-up shop at her house, and she had one of her friends over who also sells jewelry. And so I was looking at her stuff, and that's Brave Sunday is the name of the jewelry designer who was there. But she makes some really cool stuff with resin and wood chips, and so I was asking her some questions about it, and she looks at me, she says, "I love your videos that you do for Shipwreck." And I've never met her before, and so that was really cool to know that there's people that are actually watching me. I mean, I see that the videos get views, but to actually talk to someone who's seen the videos that was pretty cool. I'm internet famous. So hopefully I'll get to meet some more of you at Bead Fest. I'm super duper excited. That's why I keep talking about it. And so for the next month, because it's a month away, you'll hear me, I'm sure, more and more talking about Bead Fest, because I'm just really excited to participate. I've never gotten to go to a bead show before, let alone teach at one. So it's a great, I'm just excited. So hopefully you guys will be there to join me and say hi, and I'll probably be filming some videos from there, hopefully. And yeah, it should be a really good time. So we've got this finished. We want to make sure, because sometimes the eye pins will come to you and they'll be a little bent. So you'll want to just straighten those out with your fingers. And you want to make sure that your loops on the bottom are all facing the same way. Those little details are really important, and so it's important to be consistent. So we want to make sure and take care of that, and make sure that they're all facing the same direction, and then we can start adding our charms. So I've got a couple things. I want to add another Swarovski crystal, because since it goes with the set that I made. I've got some of the crystals here. This is with the gold patina, I believe. I'll have to double check on that, but you can see here. So I'm going to use similar. I'm going to use the same crystal for the center of this piece, and I'm also going to use some of the Halloween charms. Here on this one, I've got a bat and an owl. So for this one, I'm going to use, I think, the cat and the ghost. And then I also want to add some more skull beads, because I love the skull beads. So we'll just do different colors of those to finish up the pattern. Where is mine? Oh, no. All right, so we've got the skull beads. You can buy them in single color strands, and we also have a multicolor strand as well. So I'm going to use the multicolor strand because I need the purple and the orange. And let's see. Kind of figure out the pattern here. Purple, and then we'll use another turquoise. So we're kind of going to hang them from that. And what we'll do is, again, now we're going to use head pins to make these into little charms. So if I'm making a lot of charms or a lot of little beaded dangles at once, I like to sort of do a production line kind of style, and so I'll string my beads and then bend the wire and then do all of my beads at once. And then I'll go back through and trim and make my loops. So it just makes it faster. The less you have to handle your tools, the faster you can make things. And then what I'll do is I'm going to use, I could just connect these dangles directly to the eye pins, but I'm going to add jump rings because I really like the extra movement that the jump rings provide. You can sort of see how these, it just kind of makes it more fringy and it gives it more movement to have that extra jump ring connector there. So let's go ahead and finish these up. Some of my loops aren't perfectly straight, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and just kind of fix them so that they all stand straight. Alright, so those are done. And now we need to add some connectors. Hopefully this jump ring will fit inside this crystal here. We'll find out if it doesn't. And it does. I love the Tierra Cast products. Their jump rings are some of my favorite to use. So got that. And then, where are my smaller jump rings? Not those. Well, alright, I guess we will use these. I had some round jump rings, but I don't know what happened to them. Like I said, I was cleaning my office yesterday and now I can't find anything. Does that happen to anyone else? Alright. So with jump rings, as I'm sure you all know, but it's always a good reminder, you always want to open them from side to side, not back to front. Give them a twist so that they open. See, just like that. And then so that's not going to hang right because of the extra jump rings, so I'm actually going to turn the loop on my thing. I know it said keep them all the same length, but it's more important to me, or the same, facing all the same direction, but it's more important to me that the crystal hangs right than my loops all being the same. So sometimes you just have to make those creative decisions. Now I'm adding my pieces to, oh, that loop's not shut all the way. Ah! Oh no. We're losing our heads. Okay, that was a bad joke. I'm sorry for that. I love a good pun though, I won't lie. I haven't decided what I'm going to be for Halloween yet. My daughter wants to be Harley Quinn, but she's only 10 and I'm not sure. She's like, well, we just need to go buy it. I was like, what do you need for your costume? She's like, well, we just need to go buy it. I'm like, no, that's, you know my rule on Halloween. We make our costumes, so got to figure out, one, something age appropriate and school appropriate, because I don't know if you've seen the new Suicide Squad movie. I haven't, but I've seen the previews and she's not wearing that. So we'll just have to play around with that, and hopefully it will not be too painful for either of us. But I think we can definitely come up with something creative and appropriate. And one thing about the Northwest and Halloween is that your Halloween costume has to accommodate your long underwear, because it can be rainy and very cold. So that's one thing we have to consider too. So overall, though, I'm pretty excited about Halloween. I love that my daughter has always had some great opinions for her costumes. One year she wanted to be an angel pig. The next she wanted to be a superhero. She was Super Gabby, and I made her entire costume. One year she wanted to be a zombie Dalmatian. Last year she was a tree for Halloween, which was just incredible. Her costume ended up being great. She helped me make it, and it was a fun costume. And oh wait, no, the year before she was a tree, and last year she was a mad scientist. So she always comes up with some great ideas. So I'm trying to encourage her to not pick a generic superhero, because I think she can do better than that. But we'll see. She's 10 and she's got her own opinions on life, and they're seldom the same opinions that I have. As I'm sure you with kids or grandkids, or nieces or nephews, anyone who's interacted with those preteens, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. They've got all the attitude in the world, and that's certainly true for my kid as well. So that's our little dangles there, and now we're going to go ahead and add the chain. But I think what I want to do is I want to bring some of these colors up, because this chain is all black, and so I want to have some of these colors represented in the chain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same pattern and put it on an eye pin and then connect that to the chain. And it would actually look cool to do each of these as an individual link, but I don't know that I want to take the time to do that right now. So we're just going to do it like that. Orange and turquoise. Alright, so I've got my links, and now I'm going to open the loop on them just like you would a jump ring and attach them to my pendant piece. And now I'm going to connect my chain. So looks like that loop on there is fine, but I'm going to need to cut away one of the loops on the bottom of this piece. Okay. And then we'll open up this loop here and thread the chain through. I love this eyeball chain, and I've been waiting for the right opportunity to use it, and I think today's that day. All right. So it is an over-the-head necklace, but I'm going to add a clasp to it anyways. My personal preference is to add clasps even if it's an over-the-head necklace, because I feel like it's easier to untangle them if you have a clasp on it and can disconnect the clasp and then pull the strands out. That's just a personal preference though. Also, I just think it makes the jewelry look more finished when there's a clasp on it. But if you're making something for yourself, it doesn't always matter. But sometimes when you're making for other people, that's something that you want to consider. So what I'm still going to use the bronze or the antique brass to connect my clasp. And I'm going to use a brass clasp as well. Which I feel like with the bright gold, it's not my favorite, but I think with the entire stack of necklaces, it's going to end up looking really nice. Okay, so I've got these larger jump rings from Tiara Cast that I'm going to use as the opposite end of my necklace. And when you're choosing a clasp, you want to use a clasp that sort of complements the size of the piece of jewelry that you're making. So if you're making a very heavy, big piece of jewelry, you want to have a larger clasp on it. And if you're making a smaller piece of jewelry, obviously you want to have a smaller, more delicate clasp to it. And so I'm actually going to add a couple extra jump rings to the end because I want to have a charm hanging from the back of the necklace. And also I want to make the length slightly adjustable. You can also do this by adding chain to the end. I always like to have options with my jewelry, so it's always good to... All right, so I'm going to use the little pumpkin charm from Tiara Cast. I always say one of these days I should branch out and use different products, but Tiara Cast makes such a quality product. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right. So one thing that's super cute about this pumpkin, as you can see on the face, the little bail loop part is actually the stem of the pumpkin, so it's nice and textured. And then on the back of the charm, it actually, you can see the leaves and the vines, which that's another reason why I love Tiara Cast, because they have all of those details and everything is so finished and well made. All right, so there is our finished necklace. All right, so I'm going to angle you back up. We can finish up here. Oop, not quite far enough. There we go. All right, so here is the finished necklace. Let's see how it looks with the rest. I might have made it not long enough. We'll see. That's something that's very easy to adjust. Oh, see, oh, that'll be perfect. Oh, I see all the hearts. Thank you, thank you. All right, those all on. So there is the entire stack. You can see this one. I just love this style of necklace because it's got so much movement to it. Oh, I put it on backwards though, and you can tell that it's backwards because, again, even though these charms are finished, we want to have the cat and the ghost face. Oh, the ghost has a face on either side, but we want the cat to be facing forward, so we'll switch that around. And this one could be even a little longer. Personally, I like them to fall, my necklaces, I don't really like them to fall much lower than this. I'm a pretty short girl, and so, or woman, I suppose, and so I feel like the necklaces can kind of get lost on me, and I get overwhelmed by them, and they get caught on everything. So I like to have my necklaces be a little shorter, and this is about where my ideal necklace sort of falls, or even sort of in this sort of middle area. Not quite a choker, but not quite something super dangly either. Face forward, you charm. All right. So tune into the blog later this week, and I'll be explaining how to make these other two necklaces, and I'll post a picture of the entire stack and as well as the product list for this necklace we made today. Halloween's on its way. I know September's almost over, halfway over. Some of you may not be ready for Halloween, but I think Halloween is anyways, Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. It's like Christmas because you get to decorate, but you don't have to exchange gifts, which I like because even though I make gifts for everyone, it's just stressful trying to make time for family. And you know, but Halloween you get the candy and the sweets and the decorating without all the fuss for Christmas, and I love it. Plus skulls and pumpkins and dress up. I mean, what's not to love? So we will see you back here on Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. I've got some new product that I'm super excited to share, and we'll be doing a giveaway as well. So hopefully we'll see you here on Friday, and have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.